The neighborhood was an amazing place to be the days and weeks after the tornado. There was a curfew in place at some time, but we were allowed through. We were residents. And I remember we pulled up to our driveway or pulled up, parked where we parked and walked up to our driveway. I stood there looking at it and like, oh my gosh, how is this ever going to get fixed? It's hard to describe the amount of debris and litter that was just everywhere, you know. And pretty soon, it's almost like magical. It's like rub the jar 3 times and your wish is granted. People started walking up the driveway with rakes and bags and clothes and chainsaws, and they never stopped. And then that same day around lunchtime, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got all these people and it's lunch. What am I going to do? And the Red Cross walked up the driveway with water and food, and people had brought, and I know the city worked with people to make sure that this could happen. There were food trucks that were out in the street every day for weeks, just to help make sure that people were taken care of. It was an amazing sight.
The devastating tornado that struck on April 9th, 1999, brought much of the city of Montgomery to its knees. In the days, weeks, and months that followed, countless individuals and communities reached out their hands to lift Montgomery up once again. In this episode, we'll share how Montgomery and its residents began to heal through the help of others. I'm Greg Leader, and this is Weathering the Storm. Episode 3, The Recovery.
Somehow the word got out.
That's Ellen Mavriplis. You may remember her story in episode 1 about how she and her family lost their home in the tornado.
And they were letting residents come back to certain points so that we were able to connect with each other and figure out, well, where do we go next? Some things were happening at this church or that church where you could get a meal, or we were having a meeting to talk about, here's where you can find out information about insurance or SBA loans or whatever it may be. So I felt like we were pretty well connected. The city was amazing. The school district was amazing. All the resources that I assumed that they were kind of the point people bringing things in and organizing, so forth and so forth. It's probably a blur to me, really, who did what. And there were a lot of people that we crossed paths with that I wouldn't remember having talked to, other than I know that people did a lot for us and they were there and they appeared and they did all the heavy work.
Remember Montgomery's city manager, Cheryl Hilbert, from episode 2? She quickly returned to the city to assess the situation and provide leadership to the recovery effort.
When we drove through, it was eerily silent. I'd put in place a curfew to protect the area, the residents, not only from gawkers, but from would-be thieves. It really created a very strange, eerie feeling of loneliness and calm when a very short time before that it had been anything but that. There was a sea of satellite television trucks up at the high school. I mean, it was unbelievable how quickly they arrived and how many of them there were. And again, it was different how the news was reported back then. So this was a big deal.
The media was helpful at first. Obviously, they told us a tornado was coming, and they were there getting the word out. Our area hadn't really had an experience like that. We were calling ourselves Ground Zero at the time, long before 9/11 happened, where that had a even bigger meaning. So it was helpful in terms of getting the word out, but then it kind of evolved into, I felt like in some ways it was about the media's story and not so much about helping us as it was their story. Even though our home had been destroyed and imploded and, totaled, and we were going to have to go through this whole process of rebuilding, it was still our home, and everyone felt that way. And there was still a front door, even though the roof was missing. And yet we would come back, to help to start salvaging things or start doing whatever we were doing. And there would be media inside our home. It's like, okay, it's not a public building now just because we had a tornado. So it just felt like at some points there was a definite invasion of our space and privacy. They would show up at all times. Because our process went on for quite a while of trying to clean up, salvage, rebuild. It went on for, weeks and months. And frequently we would have media show up out of nowhere asking questions with their cameras, with their, their microphones in our faces. They would show up at our children's school, and my kids were at Mapledale at the time. And really, I appreciated very much the principal's perspective that this was their safe harbor, that they were actually, I was involved in a lot of school-related activities as well, on boards and so forth. And so I had a pretty good ongoing relationship with the administration there. And I know that they and the teachers were actually having to do a lot to keep the media at bay at school as well, so that they wouldn't come in and interview our children and ask them inappropriate questions. Our children were going through a very traumatic experience. Their lives were uprooted. Many of them were diagnosed with PTSD down the road. We were in just the midst of it all, and the media was even going there. So as much as, it's just a double-edged sword. The media can be very helpful, but sometimes it became about their story, and we just had to be careful not to get sucked into that, because it wasn't really in our best interest. I just felt like the emotional needs of the children in particular were most important.
I couldn't get over how many government officials want to come and tour a disaster area when you're trying to work it and clean it up and help people who have lost everything.
That's Fire Chief Paul Wright.
We got to the point where we basically said, if you are providing services and help to this effort by way of using, your public works department, or, if you're a state agency, ODOT and all that, if you have a hand in letting that happen, we'll give you a tour. But if you're a jurisdiction and you just want to come and look and you're not helping us, no, we're not giving you a tour. But we had people from local governments, from state government, and then even had the vice president come in, which was interesting, because that really shut down the whole operations for a day because of security measures. And again, all the responders were just sitting there thinking, this is just killing us here, because we're trying to get some work done and we have to stop so this guy can walk through the area. And that the side the city's looking at is, well, maybe this is just a step that we have to go through to get FEMA funding, which then we never got the FEMA funding, but that's a whole nother story.
Al Gore came to town, and we got a phone call, myself and a couple of other people, to come meet with him as neighborhood representatives. And we were told how to dress and what to wear, which I thought they told us specifically to come dressed as if you look like you've been cleaning up, so that. And I'm thinking, okay, there's a photo op, and it's not about politics, it's about a photo op, That was just kind of weird.
Offers of help came very quickly from other cities. We could never repay the 35 local governments from the area that helped for weeks and even months. And those are some of my greatest memories from the event. I remember one of the first calls that I took was from a very good friend who was a manager in a neighboring community, who says, I don't have a lot of guys. He says, I need one to stripe ball fields today, but you can have everybody. So I think that kind of speaks to how cities get along and how cities help one another.
At the end of day 2, I'm walking. We shut things down because we would put a curfew on at night.
We met Tom Wolf from the city's fire department in episode 2.
And I'm back at the emergency operations, and this guy walks up to me, and he looks like a Marine drill instructor. I mean, he has got a uniform on. He looks good. He's got a wide brim hat pulled down. He goes, excuse me. He goes, can you help me out? And I said, I'll see what I can do. He goes, my name is Sergeant Mike Caldwell. I'm with the Lebanon Correctional Institute, and I want to let you know we have for your disposal inmates that will assist you in any type of task that you need. He goes, we will bring these inmates out. They will work all day and do whatever you need done. And I sort of took a step back, and I said, well, Sergeant Caldwell, I said, thank you much, but I don't know, this is Montgomery, and I'm thinking, I don't really want inmates going through here, and I was a little bit uneasy with that. And I said, what kind of crime did these folks do? And he goes, I can assure you that they are all non-violent crimes. He goes, mostly stealing and looting. And he gives me a wink, and it's like, I sort of stepped back and laughed, and I said, you know what? We need help tomorrow because we need more people to help out. And once again, it's one of those things where the decision is going to be on me, I said, okay, Sergeant. I said, have your folks here at 8 o'clock at Sycamore High School. We'll assign you with some USAR guys, and your folks will be going through and helping people get stuff out of their house. He goes, yes, sir, we'll be there at 8 a.m. Sure enough, next day we're out there in the field, 5 till 8. Here comes these 3 white vans. They pull up, and all these inmates hop out of the van. And on their coveralls, in bold print, it says Lebanon Correctional Institute. And I see that, and I'm thinking, I just made my last decision as an employee of the city of Montgomery. Because people are going to see this that just lost their home and everything, and now we're bringing inmates in. They're not going to be happy. I'm like, oh, what was I thinking last night when I told him yes? I said, come here, Sergeant. He goes, yes, sir. I said, look, we're going to hook you up with our guys, but what I need you to do is have all your guys put these vests on, so we know they're part of our group. That wasn't the reason at all. I just wanted to hide the name on the back, and he knew that too. And he goes, no problem, sir. We'll have them all wear those vests, But the long and short of that, something we didn't expect is these guys performed great. They did a fantastic job. People were thanking them for all the help. They loved the food that we were getting at that time. And we used them for 2 or 3 days. And they did just absolutely great. And I think they got a lot out of this too, as well as we did with them. And it worked out so well that I know the service department went ahead and used them for a long time to help out with the long-term stuff, getting, all the trees up and debris and all that. So that ended up being a win-win.
Remember Shannon Caldwell from episode 2? She and her brother, Ryan Cook, lost their parents in the tornado.
Honestly, when I think about the people that were on the grounds clearing debris away, and one of my stickiest memories will be for sure of some people who had been released from jail. They were wearing jumpers, and they were clearing things out of the basement, and they were singing hymns down there. And literally, a man who had recently, just that day, come from jail to help clear this problem, he has a handful of money and jewelry and says to me, is this yours? Take a look. Do you recognize any of this? Did you guys keep cash in the house? And if that doesn't just show you the best in people, nothing will. So when you really do see the worst things, sometimes they really do bring out the best in people. And that's priceless because we don't get a chance to see the best in people very much. When we do, it's worth pausing and just going, that was amazing.
The residents and businesses of the community were rocks of strength during this time. They helped one another through volunteering, donations, and just about any kind of support that you could imagine. The residents and homeowners in the area that was directly hit by the tornado, but who did not sustain damage themselves, were unbelievable. They created phone trees, remained in contact with those who lost their homes and had moved elsewhere temporarily. They served as our communication link with those that were most impacted. They offered help in cleaning up properties, and they worked tirelessly to help their neighbors. They had a weekly dinner for anyone who wanted to show up. And sometimes they would have an inspirational speaker. Sometimes they would pray together. Sometimes they just talked about baseball or whatever was going on in the area at the time. We tried to have staff people attend this whenever we could to show our support for what they were doing, and also to share information and answer questions that they had. It quickly became something that wasn't a have to do, but something that we wanted to do.
I'm Denny Reed Meller. I was a resident on Chowder Hill Way on April 9th of 1999. We received a call. My wife and I were in Brown County, Indiana, at a bed and breakfast. Wendy's close friend said, your neighborhood just got wiped out by a tornado. And our first thought are two girls. We knew that Lauren, my stepdaughter, wasn't home. She worked at WCPO at the time. And we knew Beth was staying with a neighbor, but we had no idea. We did hear on the radio that people were killed. And of course, you can just imagine we're a little on the a little concerned. Ironically, we left the bed and breakfast, speeding the speed limit. Unfortunately, a lady hydroplaned because the streets are still wet from the rain that went through in Indiana, and she hit us at 55 miles per hour. And on the driver's side, I was almost killed. And I don't remember how. I think we spun. The lady went off the road, and she did survive the crash. So the police said, "I'm going to take you to the hospital." And I said, "No, I got to get home." So the policeman took us to a car rental place. The car was destroyed totally. The bumpers were off. All the windows were out. The back door on the driver's side was totally bent in. So if somebody had been in that back seat, I survived by a fraction of a second. So we got back, and it was very emotional. I did find out that Lorna was okay at the house. We did have damage to the house. She was the first reporter in the nation to go out to start talking with people, and she had a live feed to WCPO. We did find out Beth was at a different part of the neighborhood, and she was okay. The next day, there was a news meeting at St. Barnabas. I recommended that we start a volunteer committee. People can sign up if they want to help. We eventually had 2,500 volunteers that signed up for the program. And fortunately, that day too, Cheryl Hivers, the city manager, came to me and said, "Denny, whatever you tell us what you need." And I really worked very closely with the city for several weeks as we got back on our feet. And a lot of small projects, everything from removal of trees, dead animals, helping people find lost jewelry, just anything that we could do to help out. The neat thing, we had, fortunately, we were able to get a sidewalk in our neighborhood, and that became a lifeline because there was so much traffic because of all the construction vehicles. A lot of people set up where you get water. St. Barnabas was just fantastic. American Red Cross was very instrumental in getting us back on our feet. And that really lasted for several months. I guess my favorite thing was working with the city in crisis management. I was so impressed by what was going on as far as the city, responding, and the local communities, fire, police, and everybody was very, very cooperative. Statistically, I believe we had 58 homes destroyed or damaged in the Montgomery Woods area. And that's everything from somebody losing a roof to complete devastation. And you name it, people were helping out, bringing food in, for places for people to stay. We were able to get in contact with the insurance companies to help individual families get through it. And it was quite an event. I understand the city of Montgomery did receive special recognition for what they did in during the disaster and the cooperation of all the communities. It's I think another shining light. And eventually we had a couple things happen. We have a monument, which is now in the school property, Sycamore High School, with a boulder and a plaque. We also have another plaque at the Johnson Nature Preserve. As you go into the city building, you'll see the Cincinnati Enquirer. They did about all this coming together. I called the Enquirer, the guy volunteered it, so it's now hanging up in the city building. And thing about tragedies, I mean, we always hear about the negative, but it was a very positive, thing that happened it kept our communities very, very close.
There was just such an outpouring from every service agency that you've ever or never heard of, and the church, and just everybody. From the way that the disaster relief workers themselves coordinated with local officials and fire and police, the blockades, and in the middle of all of that, a youth group is there cleaning debris, and somebody from the Red Cross is passing out chocolate-dipped strawberries. I mean, it was like, are you kidding me? The Red Cross just held us in the palm of their hand. We had a place to stay. We didn't have to think about it. They provided a hotel room for us. The church, some of them were our mom and dad's church, but some of them were just the church of Montgomery, brought, casseroles and just, you name it. It was like days and days worth of food, And that was my biggest takeaway, truly, was the amazing power of people when they come together with no agenda at all but to just help one another. Wow, can you move a mountain? And even smile while doing it. Brad and Amy Johnson and their beautiful family. That was my brother's Young Life leader, and when school ended, he needed a place to come, and they redid a room for Ryan so that he could still come back to Cincinnati. I mean, that was amazing to me. Ryan's youth group, they gathered together and they each wrote individual prayers. They gave each of us a notebook. One was for Ryan and one was for me, and each child wrote a prayer for us. And for years, I read these prayers from these youth group kids.
Even during some of the most tragic of moments, there are great examples of hope. Here's Ellen Mavriplis once again.
One of my sons had a young kitten that had been estray that came to us at Thanksgiving before the tornado. So it's still a very young kitten. And she was missing. And it was maybe after day 2 or 3, one of the, it was right before they told us we could go back in the house. One of the fire department people, I think it was, they were giving the final walkthrough and they heard a kitten meowing in our house, but it wouldn't come to him, and it had gone and lodged itself behind the toilet in just one of our small bathrooms. And so, but it wouldn't come to him. It was so terrified. So, but at least he was able to then tell me that, we think you have a kitten, and I was able to go, and she came to me. And I remember that phone call to my son, who was 4.5 at the time, and, calling to tell him that we found Natalie. This little boy's voice in my head, I'll never forget. He was like, I thought she was blowed away. That was those words. I thought she was blowed
away. Coming up on the final episode of Weathering the Storm.
Somebody said to me in the immediate period following the tornado, just within days after it, essentially as soon as I got back to my house and my daughter, she said, what the good news is, Shannon? She said, this is the beginning of your healing.
people process things differently and trying to have space and room for people to handle it how they need to. But I guess what I did learn is that people are more important than things. And I think we all know that, but I really know it. I really know it. And we had this, it was funny, people would say, oh my gosh, you've got this great new house and everything is new and oh my gosh, kind of lucky you. And it's like, oh, not so much. Not so much. And I'd go back to that day before in a minute.
We would kind of gather every evening and go lot to lot, looking at what were now lots. They were no longer our houses or our yards. We just called them lots, and they'd been leveled and covered with dirt. And so the tornado happened in April. So by summer, when everything is greening up again, but we all started noticing sunflowers popping up out of the middle of our dirt lots, out of nowhere. And none of us had planted or ever had sunflowers, and we were all puzzled by that. But we started noticing them on almost every lot, and we would have a lot of them, and we would have weeds and other things growing up, but there would be these sunflowers, and we all loved them, and we wondered where they came from.
That's all next time on Weathering the Storm.